All right, just take a second and look around you. I mean, really look. The building you're in right now, that road outside your window, the bridge you probably drove over this morning, we're literally living inside the construction industry's legacy. It's this massive, absolutely vital force, but how much do we really get about the blueprint behind it all? Well, let's deconstruct it.
Yeah, it's easy to just think of, the noise and the dust. But let's forget all that for a second. At its absolute core, construction is about this. It's the engine that literally pulls an architect's dream out of their head and slams it into the real world. It's where imagination and engineering shake hands and create something you can actually touch.
So, what is the real blueprint behind everything we see every day? That's the big question, right? We're going to peel back all the layers of this incredible industry, from the wild variety of projects to the amazing teams that actually make it all happen. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. It is so important to get this. Construction isn't just one big thing. Nope, it's really more like a collection of 5 totally distinct worlds. And each one has its own language, its own set of risks, and its own special kind of genius.
So the first world is residential. This is the one most of us are familiar with, right? We're talking houses, apartments, condos. It's easily the most personal type of construction out there. You're not just putting up walls, you're building someone's home, where their family is going to grow. And that means your skills have to go way beyond just swinging a hammer. You got to be a business manager, a top-notch negotiator, and yeah, sometimes a bit of a therapist too. Next, we scale things up a notch to commercial building. Now we're talking about the stuff we all use. Schools, hospitals, giant office towers. These projects are absolute marathons, They can take years and cost a fortune. The complexity is just on another level. You need whole teams of specialists for literally everything, from pouring the foundation to installing the high-tech fire suppression systems.
All right, now let's talk about the truly massive scale, heavy civil construction. This stuff is the literal skeleton of our society. We're talking highways, bridges, dams, airports. These projects are all about giant, heavy equipment. They're usually publicly funded, and their timeline isn't measured in years, it's measured in generations. These things have to work and they have to last. No exceptions.
Industrial construction? Man, that is a whole different beast. This is where we build the actual engines of our economy. Think power plants, massive factories, oil refineries. These projects are almost always led by engineers, and for good reason. A single tiny miscalculation could be completely catastrophic. So precision and security, they're not just like nice goals to have. They are absolute non-negotiable necessities.
And finally, we have a sector that's becoming more and more critical every single year: environmental construction. This one is really interesting because it's not always about building new things from scratch. A lot of the time it's about fixing what we've already broken. We're talking about clean water facilities, cleaning up hazardous waste sites, and restoring natural habitats. It's an incredibly complex and highly regulated field that demands some serious scientific know-how.
Okay, so we've covered the what. Now let's get into the who. A construction project is never, ever built by just one person. It's a huge collaboration, a whole ecosystem of different players all working together. So let's meet the team.
You can think of every single project, I don't care if it's a shed or a skyscraper, as resting on a 3-legged stool. You've got the owner. That's the person with the vision and, the money. You've got the design professionals, the folks who draw up the blueprint. And then you have the construction professionals, the team that actually turns that piece of paper into a real thing. Now, inside that design team, there's this classic, super important tension between form and function. The architects, they're focused on the form, how a building looks, how it feels, how you move through the space. The engineers, though, they are all about function. They're obsessed with the hidden systems, the structure, the electrical, the plumbing, all the stuff that makes the building actually stand up and work safely. And at the end of the day, you absolutely need both to create something truly great. But let's be real. None of this happens without the true unsung heroes, the building trades. I'm talking about the plumbers, the electricians, the ironworkers. These are the people who physically bring the plans to life with their own hands. They are the absolute backbone of this entire industry. And with a growing shortage of skilled pros, their work is more vital now than ever before.
And it doesn't stop there. Beyond that core team, you've got all these layers of influence. You have your first-level players, like subcontractors and suppliers who are on the job site every day. Then you have second-level players, like city inspectors and unions. And then there are even third-level players, like government agencies or the banks funding the whole thing.
The big takeaway here is that the person actually pouring the concrete on site is being influenced by a dozen other people who might never even set foot there. It's this deeply interconnected web.
All right, so we've gone through the different worlds and the key players. But here's the thing. The construction industry is not standing still, not even close. In fact, it's right in the middle of this huge technology-fueled transformation. So now, let's look at the forces that are building the future of construction itself.
The industry today is being completely reshaped by what you could call a perfect storm of 5 major forces. There's this massive push for smarter technology, a much deeper commitment to sustainability, the simple reality of a global market, an absolutely urgent need for more efficiency, and thankfully, a long overdue drive for a more diverse workforce.
And a huge piece of this puzzle is the push for efficiency, and it's being driven by tech like BIM, that's building information modeling. Just think of it like this. Before anyone lays a single brick, you build the entire project virtually in this incredibly detailed 3D model. This lets you find out that, say, a water pipe is going to clash with an electrical conduit on a computer screen, instead of finding out the hard way on site. It saves an unbelievable amount of time and money.
Sustainability has also gone from a nice-to-have to a core requirement. Things like LEED certification, which is basically a report card for how green a building is, are pretty much standard practice now. And this focus on global standards totally makes sense, because the industry itself has gone global. You've got firms and pros working on projects all across the planet.
And finally, the industry is really opening up, both in terms of its people and its ideas. There's a real active push to bring more diverse voices and talent into the field, and that's creating huge opportunities for everyone. At the same time, online platforms are just shattering the old silos. A project manager in Dubai can now instantly collaborate with an engineer in Denver to solve a problem. It's a whole new level of connected.
So, after looking at all of this, the different sectors, the players, the future trends, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it all comes back to legacy. It's about the physical, tangible impact this industry has on every single one of our lives.
Because really, this is the ultimate point of it all. Unlike so many other jobs out there, construction gives you something tangible, something real. You can stand in front of a hospital or a bridge or a skyscraper years down the road, point to it, and tell your kids, I helped build that. That's an incredibly powerful, visible legacy that serves the entire community for decades to come. So I want to leave you with this one thought. Now that you know a little more about the blueprint, about the different worlds, the complex teams, and the future this industry is building, the next time you walk past a construction site, what are you going to see differently?